So there's been a few mentions in the last week or so about whether or not the reduction in the money purchase annual allowance is actually going ahead. Well, we had some sort of confirmation last week from Mel Stride, who is the Financial Secretary to the Treasury, saying that all budget announcements or budget changes, which included the money purchase annual allowance, are still planned to go ahead. So they're going to publish a Finance Bill number 2, Act 2017, and it's likely that the money purchase annual allowance section will be in there, if not in another set of regulation. So it will be backdated to 6th of April 17, so the money purchase annual allowance is actually £4,000 for this year. Remembering the trigger points for the money purchase annual allowance, just drawing tax-free cash will not trigger the money purchase annual allowance, and given that that money purchase annual allowance is now £4,000, being aware of the triggers of it become even more important, and also remembering that once you've triggered it, you've lost the right to use your carry forward allowances too. So last week the Supreme Court overturned a decision of the Court of Appeal in a case called Walker versus Innerspec, and you may have seen this reported in the press because it was quite an important decision about death benefits, primarily affecting DB schemes but will affect public sector schemes too. So this is where death benefits are payable to a same-sex partner on death of the member. The Supreme Court found that under the Equality Act there is an exemption that pension schemes can use for service pre-2005 can be excluded for death benefit accrual. So for Mr. Walker, on his death, his same-sex partner, whom he'd been with for many number of years, had indeed had a civil partnership and then had that converted to a marriage. On his death, that same-sex partner would only be entitled to £1,000 a year's pension, whereas had the partner been of the opposite sex, they would have been entitled to nearly £45,000 a year. The Supreme Court found that this was discriminatory and the exemption under the Equality Act should be disapplied. This of course goes against our legislation, so we'll wait and see what the government says about how they wish to move forward, whether they will change the legislation in accordance with the decision of the Supreme Court. Watch this space.